Hello, everyone, and welcome to the case update for Jared Bridegan. And there are several reasons that I've decided to introduce this case on my channel. And it's because, one, this murder took place about 5 miles from where I live in my hometown. Two, I know people who have known Jared Bridegan, and I've hesitated to cover this case because Shanna Gardner was not yet arrested and lived in the next town over from me. And three, I heard that this case was the next big case. And I say that in the most loving way because I've heard it from the Dan Markel murder case, the Charles Adelson case. This is the case that everyone's talking about. So I'm bringing it to you all because it's something that I have been working on. It's something I've been researching. There is a lot of misinformation out there. I've been researching it. A lot of the facts are wrong. A lot of you all have been talking about it. This is a case of high interest, I believe, for the people who follow the Dan Markel murder because it's a child custody case and it's a murder over child custody and divorce and marital issues, just like the Dan Markel murder. So I want to bring to you all some of the facts. I want to get you all familiar with this because this case should be going to trial either in 2024 or 2025, into 2025. So let me give you some of the quick facts about Jared Bridegan and his relationship and the main characters in this case. Jared Bridegan met his first wife, Shanna Gardner, on a trip to Florida. Both of them are devout members of the Mormon Church. As you can understand, their upbringing was the same. They attended probably the same social circles in church. I also have friends who have attended church with Jared Bridegan and Shanna Gardner and their family. So these are very tight social circles, so it wouldn't surprise me that coming from Utah, Jared would have met Shanna in 2010, and then they got married, moved to Connecticut, and raised their twins, who are now 9 years old. In 2015, they started having marital problems, and I believe that Jared wanted to move back to Jacksonville Beach, where he had family, and this was his hometown. They both also have roots in different parts of the country, but I think to Jared, this was his hometown. So in 2015, I believe that they had separated and got divorced. So then Shanna had remarried Mario. Mario was a maintenance man at the gym that Shanna worked out at. And then Jared also remarried his wife, Kristen. And then they had 2 kids, Bexley, who I believe is 2 years old at this time, 2 or 3. And then they have London, who is 6 months old at this time, possibly maybe a year by now. And then I've heard through media and through friends in town that there was an incredibly tumultuous divorce, much like the Dan Markel murder. And this tumultuous divorce led to an attack on the evening of February 16th, 2022. Jared Bridegan had just dropped off his 10-year-old twin son and daughter to his ex-wife's home in Jacksonville Beach. And he was headed back to St. Augustine, where he lived. And some of this information is wrong. I believe it's Nocatee, where he was living with his wife, but that's a whole other story. With his 2-year-old daughter in the car, he stopped because of a tire in the road on the exit of the Sanctuary neighborhood. And just as a side note, this is a street that I drive by constantly. I even avoided this road after the murder. There was no arrests made. People have asked me, isn't this a pretty open and shut case? No, there was months, pretty much half of a year, where we had no clue who did this. There was definitely speculation about Shanna, and that's why I have definitely stayed away from this case. She was free. It was pretty sketchy. On January 25th of 2023, the arrest was made to the killer of Jared Bridegan, and we'll get back to that tire in the road. That's a huge piece of evidence. But the killer, Henery Tenon, they found him by the Ford F-150 truck that he was driving, and among other things, and evidence that we don't even know yet. So on March 16th of 2016, Henery Tenon pled guilty. The very same day, Mario Fernandez, Shanna's husband, still her current husband, I believe they might be estranged because they were living in separate states at the time of their arrest. Mario Fernandez Zeldano was arrested and he's pled not guilty. Then on August 17th of 2023, Shanna Gardner Fernandez was arrested and indicted in Washington State, where her parents had just purchased her a $1 million home. Just as another side note, Shanna is an heiress, and I use that word heiress very lightly, to the fortune of Stamping Up. And any woman or man, anyone who lives in the South or knows kind of the Bible Belt community, Stamping Up is very popular with women in the South, and probably in the Mormon community, the Christian community. Stamping Up is kind of a way to make your own greeting cards, and very popular between women. Very, very successful company. Her parents are worth millions, which is another thing I'll lead into her hiring Jose Baez, Casey Anthony's attorney. This should be very interesting. On November 3rd, Shanna Gardner pled not guilty before the grand jury on November 3rd, 2023, and they indicted her on I believe 4 charges: first-degree murder, solicitation, conspiracy, and also child abuse, because Bexley was in the car. And shout out to Kristen Bridegan for starting the Cause Bexley's boxes, and it's a cause to help children of homicide victims while they wait at the police station to have like diapers and toys to play with if their parents have been murdered, which happens more often than you'd think these days. Shanna Gardner has hired this high-powered attorney, Jose Baez, who is Casey Anthony's attorney, and also Aaron Hernandez. Both of them were let off of all charges. Of course, Aaron Hernandez was committed suicide in jail, and he had a lot of charges against him. Go research that case. But we all know the story of Casey Anthony. Of course, Shanna Gardner's whole idea is just to get the most high-powered attorney. And this is a big deal in the Jacksonville area right now. It's a big deal when a big Miami lawyer comes up here. So this will be a really interesting case to watch. And I hope you all want to follow this too. But we'll learn more evidence in this trial. Of course, the Ford F-150. Of course, we have the information that Henery Tenon has said about being hired by Mario Fernandez. And also, Henery Tenon was a tenant of one of Mario Fernandez's homes in Jacksonville Beach. Police believe that this was a planned attack set into motion by Shanna Gardner and her husband, Mario Fernandez. The rewards for this case soared to $55,000, and it became a global manhunt. And Jared was a 33-year-old Microsoft executive and father of 4. I'm going to keep you guys updated on the true story. I want to go to a pretrial hearing on the December 1st, but the big deal right now is that Jose Baez is trying to make sure that Shanna Gardner is not charged with Mario Fernandez, her husband, because I believe she's going to try to get out of any wrongdoing, saying she'll probably say, much like the Markel murder, that it was all Mario and blame it on him. And it should be very interesting to see what her defense is. But going into this trial in 2024, 2025, we've got to just be patient. This will be something to take our mind off of the Dan Markel murder. This will be one for you all to watch. And some interesting quotes from Jose Baez and saying that the state wants to kill Shanna. And it definitely has to do with the death penalty. He's just trying to get the death penalty off the table. But, I mean, he's obviously trying to get her out of all of these charges.
What police call a murder-for-hire plot says she's not guilty.
Today, Shanna Gardner was formally charged with murder in the death of Jared Bridegan, her first husband. Our Taylor Levesque is on your side tonight, covering what's ahead in this death penalty murder trial. She joins us live tonight with more. Taylor.
High-profile attorney Jose Baez is representing Shanna Gardner and says that she is innocent. Today, the family of Jared Bridegan filled the Duval County courtroom. Shanna Gardner walked into a Duval County courtroom Friday morning showing a soft smile. Representing Gardner is high-profile defense attorney Jose Baez. The judge says moving forward, both Gardner and her second husband, Mario Fernandez Zeldano, will be tried together, and all future court hearings will be together. Biaz says he wants them tried separately.
If there's something that paints Fernandez to it, right, and they're both seated at the table, she looks guiltier sitting next to Mario.
First Coast News crime and safety expert Mark Bachman says there's evidence both Gardner and Fernandez played a role in Jared Bridegan's murder.
It could be telephone analysis information, cell tracking information. It could be ballistics. It could be interviews. It could be a combination of that and all things.
Biaz says his team is now going through 7 terabytes worth of discovery evidence and a list of 100 potential witnesses by the state. Attorney Shannon Schott, who is not connected to this case, says if Gardner and Fernandez are tried together, this means they will get their own juries.
Both of them are at this point fighting for their life, and they and their attorneys are trying to come up with the best way to avoid the death penalty.
Biaz has served on the defense for high-profile cases like Kaycee Anthony and Aaron Hernandez.
He's a good attorney. He's going to cross every T and dot every I. He's really good on direct examination. I've watched him, and he's very good on cross, too.
Gardner and Fernandez will be back in court on December 1st. Live in downtown Jacksonville, Taylor Levesque, First Coast News on your side.
Bridegan, a father of 4, police say was ambushed and killed in February of last year after stopping to remove a tire from the road. Tonight, we're seeing body camera footage and video of the interview with the first of 3 people arrested in this high-profile murder. Henery Tenon, he is now 62 years old. He pleaded guilty to being the triggerman. Investigators say Tenon was hired for the attack by Bridegan's ex-wife, Shanna Gardner, and her husband, Mario Fernandez. News4 Jax reporter Vic Micolucci tells us that Tenon's arrest was the first big break in this case.
You get your ID on you?
It starts with a simple traffic stop for speeding on Jacksonville's west side. It's August 2022, and police learn the man behind the wheel is wanted for something much more sinister.
This is a suspect connected to the Jacksonville Beach murder.
Detectives had been planning to talk to Henery Tenon anyways about his involvement in the ambush murder of Jared Bridegan in Jacksonville Beach 6 months earlier. Patrol officers find a shotgun in his trunk, but note, it is in bad shape.
Either that thing was sitting at the bottom of a river or that thing is old. You were right. It's old.
Still, Tenon is told he's under arrest for driving with a revoked license and being a felon with a firearm. He'd been in prison for a year 2 decades ago for habitual traffic offenses. They haul him off to the Crime Gun Intelligence Center, which JSO shares with the state attorney and ATF.
Pat you down real quick.
Here, a CJIC detective and a Jacksonville Beach investigator tell Tenon the real reason they want to talk to him.
Somehow Henery got caught up in something, and now it's spiraling out of control because these other people involved, because this is your vehicle involved that you're in, are going to point the finger at you. And they've already started to do that because no one wants to go to prison for the rest of their life.
Much of the interview is muted, and evidence the detectives show is covered up with a black box. But it ends like this.
Ain't nothing else I can give you. I don't think I need an attorney.
It isn't until January that Tenon will be charged with Bridegan's murder. He pleads guilty to second-degree murder and agrees to testify against his 2 alleged co-conspirators, Bridegan's ex-wife Shanna Gardner and her new husband Mario Fernandez. Both were later arrested. They are charged with first-degree murder and setting up the hit. Each could face the death penalty. The connection? Besides owning the truck seen leaving the killing in surveillance video, Tenon is renting a room in a home that Fernandez owns, which we see in the body camera footage from the morning police arrested Tenon for that traffic stop.
Hello, this is a free call from
Henery.
Also in the evidence file, calls Tenon makes while behind bars at the Duval County Jail. In one of those, he tells a woman,
It ain't looking good. Just put it like that.
Oh, what do you mean?
I mean, I'm probably going to be here for a while.
I wish you was calling with some good news, like you're getting released or something.
Don't look that way anyway.
so far.
Well, hopefully they'll realize that it's not you.
Tonight, Tenon remains behind bars. He faces at least 15 years in prison. His co-defendants are awaiting trial after pleading not guilty. I'm Vic Michelucci, Channel 4, the local station.
We reached out to Jared Bridegan's widow and brother today to let them know about this evidence being released. They said at this time they have no comment.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope that this kind of enlightened some of you who wanted to know more about this case from a local. And thank you for watching my channel, True Lifestyles, and for liking and subscribing. And I hope that you tune in for more updates on the Jared Bridegan murder and justice for Jared, and also justice for Dan Markel. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching and liking and subscribing. Stay tuned for more videos and justice for Dan and justice for Jared. And also, let's hope for justice for Ellen Greenberg as well. And thank you all for following these cases and liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful day.